All right, morning, greetings everybody. Welcome to our 16th annual GIS Day / Planning Day. I know you probably had a busy schedule today. I'm glad you took the time out to come and see what new technologies we have in store for you. The goal here today is to have a quick ceremony and have you guys be pointed to the showcase in the West Atrium. We have a few prizes there for you guys, and we have a few different demonstrations and displays that we want to get by to you guys. I'm glad to see Miss Samuel here. I've been trying to make some time to have this full demonstration for you. So, with those of you not familiar with GIS, we want to be able to. The goal today is to be able to give you a deeper understanding of GIS and planning. All right. So what we'll have is the Deputy Chief Planner come up and speak about GIS in planning. After that, we'll have members from the committee come up and say a few words of the different uses or the different applications for GIS. So without further ado, I'll have Mr. Delampen, Deputy Chief Planner.
A pleasant good morning to everyone here in attendance. It is truly a privilege for me to be here to say a few words on an important occasion such as this. I speak on behalf of the Town and Country Planning Department officially, and particularly on behalf of the Chief Planner, Mr. Gregory Adams, who unfortunately could not be here this morning. We are indeed pleased that you all could join us as we come together with our worldwide counterparts to celebrate what is technically known as World Geographic Information Systems Day, or World GIS Day for short. For those of you who have seen the various flyers and the marketing done for this day, you would have noticed that our theme is Discovering Our World Through GIS and Planning. This is because we in the Town and Country Planning Department decided that instead of celebrating World Town Planning Day, which is actually officially 2 weeks before this date, we would join with the National GIS Committee to demonstrate the increasing versatility and usefulness of this GIS technology as a tool in planning. In fact, we also use this opportunity at the department to launch one of our exciting new initiatives, which is intended to be a quarterly electronic newsletter entitled Planning for All. It is meant to keep the public up to date on the various projects and initiatives being pursued by the department, including the increasing use of technology like GIS to fulfill our mandate. GIS has quickly become an indispensable tool used to represent and visualize physical data in an electronic format in order to perform critical analysis and drive critical processes. It is dynamic software that is adaptive to a range of disciplines, of which the various members of the NGIS committee here can certainly testify to. Another important feature that adds to the usefulness of GIS is its ability to link with other common software that we already use. In terms of planning, I know that it is critical to link 3D models and graphics created using our conceptual modeling software with local data in GIS in order to accurately plan communities and the territory as a whole. It is amazing to know that we have barely scratched the surface of this GIS technology. As you will hear and see in the exhibit in the West Wing a little later today, there are applications of GIS that were not here last year as we celebrated this day. And I dare say that next year there will be even more as our technical experts here continue to push the frontiers of this technology in the territory. I know that our main goals are twofold. One, we must continually demonstrate and raise awareness of the usefulness of this GIS technology and proper planning in our everyday lives. And two, get results, increase productivity. This continued innovation is not for show. The results that we speak about are more accurate and comprehensive decisions across government manufactured in a more timely and efficient manner. To finish, I wish to congratulate the head of the NGIS committee, Mr. Troy Dawson, and all those who are responsible for making not only this day, but the continual use of GIS technology in the territory successful. As we celebrate the continued integration of technology into planning and decision-making processes, let us be mindful that it is not meant to replace, but rather to augment more insightful human interaction and information sharing. Once again, I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. As you just heard, you can see GIS has many different applications, and once you have your chief and your deputy chief planner on board with GIS, the sky is the limit. That's my view. So the next speaker will speak as we mentioned town planning and planning. So we'll go up a bit further into planning and have one of the members, Mr. Koy Harrigan, speak a bit more about GIS and town and country planning. Mr. Harrigan.
Good morning to everyone here seated today. My task is to basically give you guys a brief synopsis of GIS and what we do in the department, how we implement it in different applications throughout the department. Town and country planning department is made up of a lot of different sections. The development control section, who deals with enforcement out in the field. We have the GIS section, which we do a lot of building use data pickup in the field using the handheld GPSs and all that. We have planning, which use the software to be able to, aid in their planning applications. One of the things that you're going to learn today, as we go to the West Atrium, and that's over next to the office, we have. Let's start with development control. They're going to show you the applications where they have GPS location points of our development around the territory. The GIS section is going to show different applications in terms of building use data, how we pick up the data, the instruments we use to pick up the data, development planning, how they can do scenarios using the data in terms of they want to place a location for a new school, they can actually do different synopsis on that. We want to be able to showcase different ways that we aid different departments throughout government, and today you're going to see that. So I don't want to, say too much on that. We want you guys to go over and have a good look and appreciate what was done over the years, and give us good feedback. And you come again next year, it's going to be even more better than this year. Have a good day and enjoy.
Different departments use GIS in different ways. So next we'll have Mr. Reimer for Police Department to speak a bit about how they use GIS in Police Department.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to GIS World Day, Discovering the World Through GIS and Planning. I am Sergeant Reimer, and I'm a member of the Royal Virginians Police Force, and also a member of the NGIS team. Through this team, and working with the Department of Town Country Planning, it has been a never-ending learning experience for me. I'm actually proud to be a part of this great talented team of individuals who have been utilizing and manipulating this software. This program has given us the ability to complement our new 311 command center, where officers are now able to bring up accurate information on any building location, property, when receiving a report, compared to relying on Google Earth before to bring up location that gave inaccurate information on several roads, buildings here in the BVI. It provides much more information from land registry, conservation and fisheries, survey, just to name a few. So much information is available that even the COP and the senior management team will be shocked when I reveal how it will change the way we plan our operations and the way we can better fight crimes by being more proactive. Recently, I was encouraged by Troy to map all my CCTV camera location on ArcGIS, which now gives me full control of all my assets throughout the territory. It gives me the ability to keep full inventory, make notes, etc., logs, and maintenance logs as well. To go a step further now, I can view any camera overlaid on ArcGIS, which will bring a live view up on ArcGIS via that software. What do I say from here? Where do we go in 2016 and beyond? Well, it is my aim to get my other colleagues on board, such as the Criminal Records Office, Intelligence Unit, Crime Scene Unit, Traffic, Beat and Patrol. You will see today why it is important for us as police officers to make this software part of our development. You will see in some cases we have some inaccurate statistics and accurate markings of boundaries on the map over the territory. I will explain why ArcGIS is a must for us. We also have over 20 GPS devices in our police vehicles where we are able to track and monitor the movements of each vehicle. This, I hope, that we'll be able to remove the current overlay from Google Earth to ArcGIS, which will give us accurate reading. So again, I would like to say it's an exciting day. I'm happy to be a part of this, my second year. And a big thank you to Coy and Troy for all the support they have given me so far from the Town Country Planning Department. Again, I say thank you.
You can see that Mr. Reimer at the police department, they can utilize data from Land Registry Department. They can be able to sit in the offices and see who owns certain parcels in reference to investigations and proceed accordingly. I know that Coy has been working. He has been working very hard with Mr. Reimer to be able to build your system here for your CCTV. I know that we may have a little taste of it in the atrium later on, so I invite you guys to come across, have a look at all the displays, but pay close attention to that system that is being built. Okay, next we will go on to Conservation Department. We have Rosina, Mrs. Gomes. She's going to speak about GIS in Conservation Department.
Good morning once again to everybody. I am Rosina Norris Gomes, and I am GIS Officer, Geographical Information Systems Officer at Conservation and Fisheries Department. At the department, we are basically responsible for protecting and preserving our natural environment. And what we will learn today, or what we always show you, that GIS can be used to understand real-world problems, and this also goes for environment and fisheries management. As you know, some of our natural resources include coral reef, which our tourism, diving tourism depends on, or mangroves, which are homes to birds and various species, or beaches, which both locals and tourists enjoy, or salt ponds, which act as natural filters, which is important so that we don't see this brown, murky matter in our waters. With all these resources in mind, we can see that our natural resources are very complex and undergoes changes from time to time. Whether the loss can be attributed to persons illegally doing different things like cutting down mangroves, filling in salt ponds and sand mining, or even on natural effects, we can attribute all of these and use GIS to monitor these changes. GIS is also used in fisheries management as well. In fact, we hope that in the near future, we can collaborate with our fishermen and closely use GIS to monitor current fishing patterns at our commercial fishing banks and protected areas. This way we can easily help us to determine if certain areas are being overfished. We all like to fish, so we don't want a situation where our areas are overfished and we don't have any culture, any food, or any kind of income for fishermen. So, by realizing how interconnected all our natural resources are, we can see whatever affects them also affects us. GIS allows us to visualize these effects by representing these resources as layers or feature data sets in our GIS system. We overlay this data onto each other and produce a detailed map which allows us to identify locations of the resources that are most vulnerable to degradation. This in turn opens many opportunities for us. We can know what our stresses are, and then we can predict and prevent whatever damages these are putting on our various resources, and we can put measures in place to sustain these resources. So, in a nutshell, GIS is a powerful tool that allows us to manage, analyze, and model our environment so that we can make decisions based on this information and conserve and protect our resources. In doing so, we can all take pride in our pristine beaches, our stable coastline, our healthy coral reef, fish abundance, and numerous other benefits our natural environment has to offer. So today, I encourage all of us to take advantage of the learning opportunities today in the West Atrium and discover your world through GIS. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Gomes. As you saw there, I mentioned many times to Rosina, I long for the day when all the fishing data is collected, and we can be able to come to Rosina and ask her which area can we collect the most, what time of year is the best time to go and catch a snapper. Because the fishing zones, once you have the fishing zones mapped, the zones tell you what the catches are. I know that you have been mapping the locations for the sargassums. Now, as mentioned, now with the GIS, you can be able to look at the different times or the different times of year, the seasons where the most sargassums are being collected, and actually prepare for it, plan for it the next year. So, this is just some of the main applications for GIS. So from there, we'll go on to the next speaker. We'll call Nancy Pasco from National Park Trust to speak a bit of GIS.
Good morning. So I'm the Planning Coordinator and GIS Officer at the National Parks Trust. We have 21 national parks, 20 of which are terrestrial and 1 is marine, and we use GIS for protected area planning, management, and conservation. So what does that mean? Basically, within our parks, we want to know what we have and where it is so we can best manage it. So we use, from our species conservation, we're mapping threatened plant species within the parks. Through that, we're working with the Royal Botanic Gardens Kew in the UK to understand more about these threatened species, some of which are found only here in the BVI, some of which are only found on certain islands. So one of our initiatives, which I have a poster in the West Atrium, shows you the location of where some of these threatened plants are located across the whole BVI. We're looking within parks and actually outside of parks so we can understand how specialized and how localized they are and where best we need to focus our efforts. And so we've been training our staff in the use of the GPS so that when we go out in the field, we can collect all of that data on handheld units. We also look at when are these plants fruiting and flowering so that we can go back and collect seeds. And by logging that information in the GPS unit, our Botanic Garden staff know when to go back, what time of year to go back to that plant to collect seeds so that we can grow it at the Botanic Gardens. So now on our marine conservation program at the National Parks Trust, we have a series of mooring buoys all throughout the territory, which are in sensitive reef sites. So we have the mapped location of all of these mooring buoys, which we can show to any user, so any charter boat person. I have a map in the atrium that shows you the location of all national park mooring buoys, so that they know where these moorings are and how those differ to the territorial mooring buoys, which are for overnight use, because ours are for day use only. Now, talking about the territorial moorings, the National Parks Trust, since April 2014, took over management of all seabed licenses. So we have since been mapping every single mooring buoy in the BVI, which is no small feat. That means from every island, from Anegada to Jost van Dyke and Little Tobago, mapping commercial, private, hurricane, navigation, all types of mooring buoys, so that we have these locations so that when people's fees are due, they can come and identify which mooring they're paying for, and we can ensure we're collecting the revenue that's owed to us. So this has been another initiative that I have a poster of, and I'm happy to display that. And also to show people how our new safety system at the Bass National Parks is working, because we've introduced swim line markers to prevent boat access to the shore. And this is for a safety measure, because what we were experiencing was large power boats trying to go directly to the beach at the Bass and Devil's Bay and Spring Bay. So for safety, we can now demonstrate on a map, which, as everybody would agree, is much easier than trying to describe something. To show a picture on a map, as everybody says, it speaks 1,000 words. And people can all see that this is why we're trying to do it and what the purpose is behind it. And finally, we're also mapping historic sites, because historic preservation is one of the program areas of the national parks. And working with town planning, we're trying to hope one day there'll be a historic register of these sites to protect these buildings. The National Parks does attend the pre-planning meetings, so we ensure that all this information that we gather feeds into the development process. So any special species or habitats of concern are taken into consideration when development applications are considered. So we encourage you to come and look at our posters, and I hope you enjoy GIS Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pasco. I bet most of you didn't know we had a database for plants. So there you have it. We have a number of different applications for GIS as mentioned. So now that we now know that when we're dealing with for the boating guys, we know that when you're dealing with the moorings, when you're trying to dock out, have any moorings rented, you have to see Nancy, and she'll map your location and have your fees waiting for you. All right. So next we'll go on to Survey Department. So we'll have Ms. Richards come up and speak. Mr. Forbes, come up and speak a bit about GIS and Survey Department.
Miss, can you please help me find my property in King Garden Bay after the burial ground by the coconut tree next to John Donovan's house? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shema Richards, and this is All Forbes, and together we represent the Lands and Survey Department. Gone are the days when customers would have had to come to the department and had no idea where their property is located, although they described it in detail to us. Thanks to the use of our Geographic Information Systems, GIS, online intranet application, we are now able to follow their directions and help them find the exact location of their parcel. GIS was introduced to the Survey Department over 10 years ago. Survey Department is responsible for updating the base map by adding parcel lines, block, and parcel information. We usually update the cadastral sheets manually whenever a mutation is approved. This information, along with ownership and acreage that is provided by Land Registry, is then digitally represented on the online intranet and is our main foundation for the GIS map that is so widely used throughout the public service. The department envisioned the many benefits that would result from the use of GIS, and to this day, it is an essential tool to us. Some of these benefits include creating sublease land maps, creating Crown land analysis maps, and assisting the staff to carry out their duties in a more efficient and timely manner. We encounter issues in serving the public with regards to leasehold parcels that are not represented on cadastral sheets. Through research and the use of GIS, we are able to create maps that represent all leasehold information. Additionally, whenever the Ministry of Natural Resources and Labor is processing their Crown land applications, they would require a report to let them know what areas have already been distributed, what is remaining, how many recipients have already paid, and outstanding payments to be received. In the absence of graphic representation, it is difficult to visualize this process. Our Crown land analysis maps give them the ability to see the precise location of the parcel and how it is progressing. Furthermore, our online intranet allows the surveyors to familiarize themselves with the terrain that they would encounter in the field. It also helps them to determine how many field assistants they would need, which equipment is appropriate to complete the job, and where the closest control point is located. Last, but certainly not least, GIS helps us to assist our customers to locate their property in a manner that was merely impossible before. Our online intranet lets us tell Jane that her property in King Garden Bay, after the burial ground, by the coconut tree, next to John Donovan's house, is actually block 2438B, parcel 25. GIS is a tool needed to adapt to a world that is constantly changing. I recommend that you try to incorporate GIS in your organization to achieve its greatest potential. I have told you what GIS has done for me. Now it's your turn to see for yourself. Discover your world through GIS. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Ms. Richards and Mr. Forbes. So we know now that we don't have to be relying on fuzzy directions or fuzzy property directions. We actually have information that will take you directly to your property, show the shape of your land through a visual base, and perhaps even the terrain of your land. So the GIS has, as you can see, continues to get deeper and deeper. So from there, we'll go to inland revenue, where we have Mr. Rapstad speak a bit about GIS and inland revenue.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aldrin Rapsat. I'm the Senior Tax Inspector in charge of property tax at the Inland Revenue Department. And this morning I'd like to share with you how the department uses GIS to enhance our work. The Inland Revenue Department, under the Ministry of Finance, is responsible for collecting several types of taxes. Among the taxes that are collected are property tax and stamp duty. GIS technology is used to assist officers in the correct identification and classification of taxpayers' property. Property tax is payable between September to November annually on all taxable land and buildings within the territory. All owners of property, with the exception of government, churches, schools, and certain other entities exempted by law, are liable to pay property tax. Therefore, all persons who erect a new building or reconstruct, add to, enlarge, or repair any existing building should notify us so an assessment can be made prior to taking up occupancy. At this time, allow me to digress just for a moment to highlight the property tax amnesty that is now in place and extends until December 31st, 2015. During this period, all persons with current and past property tax arrears are encouraged to visit our department and pay the taxes without any additional interest charges. Not only can you assist us in bringing your taxes up to date, but it also results in significant savings to you, so visit us today. Now back to GIS. A few years ago, the department began utilizing GIS technology to assist in identifying the precise location of land and buildings. Prior to utilizing GIS information and equipment, the assessment of property was guided primarily by the officer's knowledge of and familiarity with the area, as well as information received by the landowners or agents. If the owner of land and building was not present when the assessor visited the property to conduct the assessment, pertinent information relevant could not be ascertained. This would often result in us visiting the property again and again. With the use of computers and specialized programs together with GPS devices, it makes it easier to identify not only the proprietors of the land, but also certain particulars like the block, parcel number, etc., and consequently the owner of the buildings on it. The use of GIS technology allows for easier data storage, report generating, as well as the spatial referencing of buildings, therefore making it easier to view and analyze the land and building information. GIS serves as an integrated tool, utilizing the fundamental principles of geography to enhance production by simplifying data collection, updating property tax records, and enhancing the overall management of taxpayer information. The Inland Revenue Department is currently taking the application a step further by developing a database which will boast the ability to synchronize data from our colleagues in town and country planning, land registry, and the survey department to calculate annual property taxes, make queries on outstanding taxes, maintain a register of payments, and handle the arrears on property tax payments. In the future, our department expects to see the expanded use of GIS to enhance our data collection and verification in other areas that we administer, which include payroll tax, liquor licenses, hotel accommodation tax, and self-drive motor vehicle tax. Come and learn more about the department, the taxes that we administer, and how we use GIS by visiting our display area today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rapsat. And in case most of you didn't catch that, there's an amnesty program going on right now. If you have any arrears for your land tax, you can you waive your no penalties this time. Okay. So there you understand now that the land officers, the tax officers can come to your property one time and check the system and see who owns the property. So no, it's no more trying to guess who owns the property and who to apply the tax to. So it's almost no way around it. So from there, we'll go on to our next speaker. We have Mr. Brannigan from Water and Sewage Department.
Good morning. My name is John Brannigan. I'm a GIS technician at Water and Sewage. My division is actually under planning and projects at Water and Sewage. We work together with the operations, sewage, and even the water crew to build our database at Water and Sewage. We use the GPS device to pinpoint our manholes, or valves, or hydrants, and even our water lines within the ground. We even use the data to help us pinpoint areas where someone calls in and say we have a leakage somewhere, or we even use it to, when we're doing upgrades, we show the area, say we need a hydrant here, or we need to put in a new valve here. We use the GIS. We use GIS to help us upgrade our infrastructure. Right now at Water and Sewage, we're doing a survey at Eastern with collecting all the meters and actually putting the names and the meter numbers to all the D points. This is to help us show our water supply, how much water is being used at Eastern and who is connected, who isn't connected, and also help us extend our water lines in different areas. Say you live on a hill and you say you need a connection, we'll actually go on a GPS, the GIS, and see where's the closest water line to your house. And we use that along with the information and the knowledge of all workmen in the field to show what to see what's the best route to run our lines, our service lines. Hopefully we're trying to do in the future is actually have all our meters, all our valves, all our hydrants here, also in the sister islands, for our display to show everyone that, we at Water and Sewage is trying to do our best to provide water to everyone. So we have some displays at our desk. I hope y'all come and see what we have stored for y'all. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Brannigan. So we now know that we have the utilities on board. We have the host or system mapped out in the GIS, and they can actually locate where the water breaks are and come to your exact locations. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out. Thank all the speakers for taking the time out and speaking a bit more about GIS. And I invite everyone to the West Atrium where we have some showcases for you. You can see the different applications of GIS in use. So I invite everyone to go across. We have some prizes to give away. We have some prizes and some trinkets and maybe some treats to give away. So everyone, I invite you to come to the West Atrium. So we pronounce GIS officially opened. Thank you.